Do you believe that racism exists?
Of course.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yeah.
Well, give me an example of proof.
Proof that racism exists?
Right.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You can't even be serious.
Why not?
Slavery? How about we take decades, the 50s, the 60s? I'm talking to... Do you believe racism exists?
No.
You don't?
Uh-uh.
You don't believe racism exists?
I know racism doesn't exist.
How so?
But first, I'll answer that, but I want to hear your opinion.
You know what?
First.
You did ask me, and I'll answer that.
Yeah. Give me proof that racism has ever existed.
I've dated black women, plenty of them, and I've been hated because of it. I've been threatened because of it. I believe racism is also intent to harm, not just ignorance. I believe it's intent to harm. And when someone wants to harm me because I'm dating a woman of color, I would call that racism, and I've experienced it firsthand many times.
So other black people resented you for dating black women?
Not only black people, white people also resented me for dating that black woman.
And
it wasn't just one-sided.
And so whites and blacks there are some whites and some blacks that resented you. Did you know that once you go black, you can't go back?
Yes, you can. Did you know you can? You can go Mexican, Puerto Rican, Asian, you can go wherever you want.
Amazing. And so,
but wait, now hold on, I answered your question.
Racism.
Tell me about how racism doesn't exist.
Okay, let me respond to what you said, then I will. That wasn't racism, it's just people were angry and hating you because you were dating a black woman or a black woman.
Okay.
But that was because you had it from both sides.
But they weren't just angry and hating me, I'm telling you, they threatened me.
Right, that's still hatred.
So I'm saying that's intent to harm,
right,
and that's where I think the racism comes in.
No, that comes from hate. That's come from anger.
Okay, so let's hear your explanation.
And I grew up on a plantation in Alabama.
You're blowing my fucking mind. Am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah.
You're blowing my fucking mind right now.
And I grew up during the Jim Crow era, too. I remember when they were for colors.
The water fountains and
color signs.
And the restaurants and everything.
Right.
You remember this. You lived it. You're not just hearing it, you lived it. How old are you?
73.
Okay, so why do you believe it doesn't exist then? I'm super interested in hearing this.
One other thing, I went to a movie theater when I was a teenager in Alabama once, and the blacks had to sit in the balcony, and the white folks sat downstairs because we weren't allowed to sit together.
Oh, yeah.
But it was fun up there because we had a better view.
That's only something you can say. I can't say that shit.
Why can't you say that?
Well, I always thought, when they told Rosa Parks to go to the back of the bus was the best spot to be in the back of. That's the best spot of the bus. I get her whole stance like, nah, you're not telling me what to do.
Right.
But the back of the bus is where it's at.
Because when you get on the bus now, the first thing you go into the back so you can relax and see who's coming on and
people
kind of
watch.
Right.
Yeah.
That whole Rosa Parks thing was a fluke. It was.
You're tripping me out. Dude, hold on. Go back. You just told me you grew up in the Jim Crow era, you grew up on a plantation, and you're still, how does racism not exist? Please, because I want to hear this. I'm genuinely interested in this side of your opinion here.
During those days, black people and white people understood that our battle was a spiritual battle, that it was a warfare between good and evil. There's evil in some people, there's good in others. And evil hate good. And it had nothing to do with color, it had nothing to do with male or female, it was just right or wrong. And so we knew that the Jim Crow era was about the Democrats not wanting blacks to be a part of the Democratic Party. And that's why the Republican Party was started by blacks and whites, because they started their own party, they couldn't be a part of the Democratic Party. Even with the KKK, they were not fighting the blacks because of their color. They were fighting them because when they started the Republican Party, they became congressmen, they became leaders in the government, and they were gathering a lot of power. And so the KKK and others were fighting them for political reason, not color reason. It was only later in life that they ventured off and said it's about color. It never was. And so the blacks and the whites knew it was about spiritual, that you either have anger or you have love in your heart. And so the blacks and the whites got along that knew that. It was only when Martin Luther King and all those guys came along and they created a false idea of racism. They created the civil rights movement in order to divide and conquer for power and wealth for themselves. Even Rosa Parks' thing was a fluke because they had another woman to do that thing that Rosa Parks was supposed to have done on the bus. And the NAACP has found another black woman to do that, but before she can do it, they found out she was pregnant out of wedlock. And in those days, it was an embarrassment to be pregnant out of wedlock. And they were like, no, we can't use this woman pregnant. And so they got rid of her and they found Rosa, and it was a setup.
But
isn't that amazing?
Great story, but you still don't believe decades, generations of suppression has anything to do with the color of your skin or racism.
Because
Wow.
blacks are more suppressive
Wow.
toward each other than whites are to blacks.
I mean, I don't know the statistics on that, so I can't speak to that.
Who been killing blacks all these years in the inner cities?
Well, let's talk about it. You mean hand to hand? Black people.
Killing, right.
But
isn't that suppressive?
economically, financially,
how
the white people have.
In what way?
That's who has.
In what way?
I just said economically,
But how
by
they
keeping you down.
How are they keeping them down economically?
The school system. I'm from Baltimore. No child left behind. Bullshit. They're all left behind. The schools are trash. Some of them don't have heat. You know, some of them don't have air conditioning.
And how
but
is
prisons?
that? How
some
that,
prisons do.
How is that the white people's fault?
Who's running the things in government right now?
Blacks and whites.
No.
You don't know that blacks and whites are running?
You believe blacks and whites are running it?
Do you-
Who's the majority? How many old white men? And as an aging white man, I'm tired of these old ass motherfuckers. I'm tired of these old, out of touch men.
Do you know
telling
that?
us what we got to do, taking rights away from women, telling us how we got to live, telling us where we got to be.
Well, I don't want anyone telling me how to live or anything either.
But they
Period.
do.
But the blacks are doing that to the blacks too.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with black on black crime, but I'm saying it isn't just black people. I cannot believe I'm the one taking this side of things right now that are holding the black community down in the inner cities.
Do you know that when I graduated high school, that everyone in my class, except for maybe 2 people, are doing very well? And I went to an all-black school. In 1968, when I graduated, the year I graduated, they integrated the school with white teachers then. But all of the black students that I know, they became teachers, lawyers, bought property, scientists, doctors. Why did they do so well? But the blacks have everything right at hand today. But they act like everything's so bad. The white man suppressing me. I can't do it.
Well,
my school's all messed up.
I hear
Why
you on
is
that.
it like that
There's
today?
2 things we could say about that. Let's take the white kids or the Asian kids. We just keep saying white and black. Let's take the Asian kids, all these other people, and at the same jobs that they're in with the black, I guarantee you they're being paid more money.
And you know why,
guarantee
right?
They have more opportunity. Now, let me answer the other question. The other thing about, you say, why did these people do so well? Some other people like, why you hold me down? Why? Look, people are who they are. Let's take away race. Let's take away sex. Let's take away all that. You're either a hustler on this fucking planet or you're not.
That's right.
Period.
You take care of yourself or you
Period.
don't.
Period.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to do with our skin color. Doesn't have to do with our sex. Doesn't have to do with our age.
That's right.
You either hustle on this fucking rock in outer space and you get by, or you don't. And I don't think that has anything to do with political, economic, socioeconomic, whatever you want to throw in there. I think that's it's just the core of that being. You either got it or you don't.
So knowing that, why do you accept the blacks blaming the white people for their failure?
Well, I don't accept it. I believe that a lot of it is true. But I also don't accept the white people bitching about the black people all the
Because
time.
they sick
Or the
of 'em.
Mexican people taking their jobs and all
Nobody
that.
like the blacks anymore. They've been whining for 60 years now.
Who said nobody likes the blacks anymore? What are you talking about? Who did not tell me what the hell this show was? I thought this was a comedy podcast.
Aren't you having fun?
I'm having a great time, I guess.
So, black, not all, but most black people are losers. That's why they complain.
Man, what do you mean most black people are losers?
For an example, you mentioned the schools, how bad they are. In Baltimore, I guess you said?
Baltimore, it's terrible.
There are black leadership that a bunch of money being put into school, but they end up in the pockets of the black leadership and the preachers. The people don't get it. And so as a result, they're not keeping the schools up.
So what you sound like you're describing, though, to me is not color or race, but power. You just said the money goes into the preacher's hands.
Right.
And yeah, that's power, okay? That's keeping people down.
And while the black allowing that to happen,
but also goes in the pockets of the white leadership as well. And then they stay up there and keep everybody else down. That's about power. That's not about race.
Right.
So even in the black community,
race.
It has been about race.
No.
But there's smarter people within the race to figure out we can rise up and fuck everybody else. They're not all about everybody.
So why the blacks are so dumb they can't figure it out?
I don't think that's Jesus Christ. Excuse me, I don't think that's true.
But why are they complaining? I mean...
We had a black president.
Oh, no, what a mess, huh?
How are you going to say what a mess after the guy we just had for 4 years that felt like 14 years?
Joe Biden?
No, hell, he's an asshole too. I'm talking about Trump.
Great White Hope?
No.